Thought
Morning.
I saw Abe's face somewhere.
How should we? Good morning.
There he
Hey,
is.
hey. How are you guys doing?
Hey, buddy. Long time no see.
I know. Look at this. I'm making a run at this.
I like
Ashley,
it.
But it's not turning out too well.
I shaved this morning, so we're good.
I just had my oatmeal go down the wrong tube.
Oh, so pleasant.
Yeah. It's not COVID. I'm just choking on my food. Good news.
It's so quiet. Are you at home or are you in your office?
I'm in my office. I'm fortunate that I'm the only one that comes here. And so
Well, we had Craig on a couple weeks ago. He said he was just on the other side from you.
he's over a bit.
All right.
So in my actual office space, so I come here, mask and gloves until I get in here, and then I can roam
And is
around.
that the actual space or is that a virtual background?
No, this is my actual office.
That's nice.
Look at that. I made that flag right there. Bump. And you can't really see. I guess I could pan a little. I made that bookcase. Look at those old skis.
I don't know if
Come
people
up
know,
with
but that's one of the things I'd love to hear from you about. When you get stressed, you need to build stuff.
Yeah. A lot of building going on right now.
You could probably have a whole new house right now.
Teresa wishes. Truth be known, I'm better at tinkering or starting new projects than finishing the ones that she would like me to do.
That's something else we haven't
That's not
done.
like anyone here. No one here is like that. That's only me.
No, I think there's lots of starters on here. All right. So it is 11:01 my time. You ready? Yeah. So I thank you for agreeing to come on here. Evie and I were talking about you, and I said, I think you and I met right when both of us were brand new to Maps.
Wow.
And you were my
And we
first.
didn't get in. We were in the low rent district of that
Yeah.
event, if I recall.
Yeah, we were. And I believe you were my first role play partner ever within the Maps environment. And I will never forget that role play because we talked about money.
Ah. Yeah.
That seems
I would
like
say that is
lifetimes
back
ago.
before I knew anything.
Good
I
old
still only
days
know
when we were
some.
both not young and naive. And I had
Young
a
and
lot less
naive.
gray hair.
Oh, there's something beautiful about that time, though. I remember I think that there's something pretty magic about being new and feeling new, isn't there?
Yep.
And feeling that thrust of energy that's associated with
Starting
I've
things.
got to start. I got to get this going. I want to do well, and I want the people that chose me to be happy with their decision and those kind of things.
Yeah. So for you, it's been a pretty darn good path. Now, I think official title, is it CEO of Maps Business or president?
Yep, CEO.
Awesome.
Some days.
And growing that organization pretty doggone well, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to share that a little bit. What I like to say to people, and I think you'll really get this, is it doesn't matter what we know. Nobody gets to skip the pain of launching a business. No one gets to skip the growing pains. None of us get to skip the pain associated with something like this. Even if we're the ones leading others, the tables turn. And when you go from coach to sitting on the other side and being coached and being the coachee, I can't speak for you, Ashley, but I can tell you for me, instantly, this fast, I have all the vulnerabilities and all the insecurities that come with being a business owner and a leader of others. And, so
for sure,
it's going well, but boy, we've had an interesting road here.
Well, so in most of these Zooms, so I put this together, and I know you will appreciate this because you and I have some similar wiring as far as being heart-led. We've been doing such an amazing job from a national level on getting people to, focus on the right activities and the right scripts and everything else. And I was just feeling a lack of the heart coming out. So I thought, well, why not bring people I know lead with their heart, and get them from people who may need filled up occasionally. And on the business side, obviously I'm intimately familiar with what agents are going through, but it is no different
Right.
for a lot of your business owners. How are your coaches coaching to keeping the head in the game at this point?
Well, let me share this with you. One of the things that really caught me off guard, there are a few things. I'm getting myself kind of set up here so that can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
So there were a few things that really caught me off guard when I kind of left the Keller space and came out into this world. And one of them was suddenly I had this unbelievable appreciation for for our business knowledge in Keller Williams.
Yeah.
And that is probably something you would expect me to say, but that doesn't make it any less true.
Yeah.
And so, we have 5 models and they are groundbreaking. Ashley, we made them up. No one's ever heard of them. There's the economic model and the organization model and the budget model. And,
it is so true.
Yeah. And we've had, I joke like that because we've had so many people say, why isn't anyone talking about this? And I'm thinking, well, there's a whole book, and so first of all, I appreciate the fact that our company understands this plight of business owners and this training and this kind of this landscape. I appreciate that that's how we talk. And I think sometimes when the talk when it feels like kind of common and old news, we lose sight of how profoundly good our models and our systems are. And the foundation.
We can take it for granted, right?
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it becomes common language, when it becomes common knowledge, we treat it like common knowledge.
Right.
And
it's
I think
not.
times like this they cause us to slow down and reconnect with true business principles like our models.
Yeah.
So when you said, how are our coaches approaching this? Gary, everyone here knows, Gary was, I feel like because his urgency in responding to this, we got to this very quickly. Before anyone was talking about, go talk to your mortgage company or anything, Gary was saying, reduce every expense. And why wouldn't he? He, previously wrote a book, right? about markets in shift and agents in a state of shift, or now the whole world in a state of shift. So I feel like the best way I can explain it, Ashley, is maybe 3 months ago, I would say that we were a group of dedicated people standing in a very crowded space, doing all that we could to get people to hear our voice. And when this happened, you mentioned heart. We found our soul, and we really found our culture. And I'm really proud of our agents and our team. I can tell you that though Gary's the business partner, we're not relying on him like maybe you think that we would. We cut salaries. Coaches agreed to take less, which is a little different than MAPS Real Estate. MAPS Business, we're a much smaller company, and people have stepped up and done more. We have more coach-led trainings. We have more engagement. So I would say
that's in the book, right? Do more with less. I mean, we have to do more
with less. What they don't mention is when you have the right people, and then it becomes really inspiring to see new leaders show up. Have you noticed that?
Oh, Ashley? For sure. Yeah. In any time of crisis, characters revealed and leaders show up. I think that's very true. I like the way you said that. So for us, it's been a time of, it's been an exciting time. There was an interesting point a number of weeks ago. I mean, are we 2 months in? We're not 2 months in yet, are we? Today, 5 weeks is, I just did stats for the last 5 weeks. So we've been shut down for 5 weeks.
Isn't that wild?
Seems like a year.
5 weeks doesn't feel like a day over 10 years. But what was interesting is it's a heavy, I have a great appreciation, Ashley, for your position you know, in this market center and the role that you play with your partners and with these agents, because when you're a person that cares, and I think probably everybody on this call, I would imagine fits into that category because it's the nature of the business we're in. When you're a person that cares, don't you feel the weight of the lives of the people that have joined you?
Without a doubt. And
so I remember we decided to call all of our clients, and I decided to call. It was me and our director of coaching. His name is Terry Gurno, who's just wonderful. I'd love for you to meet him. And we were calling them, not the coaches, but I wanted to hear them and talk to them. And we had a list of questions to understand their reserves and how they're doing, because we'd created these 3 options for if you're having a rough time, you can do this option and still see if we can stay afloat as a business. We got between Terry and I, we got maybe 60 clients in. And what I was hearing, Ashley, was people would say, oh, this is hard. It's probably 5 weeks ago. This is hard. And, but we love our coach. I would never go through this alone. And then I would ask them about their reserves and their employee obligations and what they were saying, the hope they were feeling, and the reality of their current circumstance were so different that
they weren't in reality.
They weren't. And we just made a call as a company. We're going to reduce every coaching contract down to $500, which took our part of that to 25% of what it was before. And then we did another thing. And I share this because you mentioned heart. This is hard, but I've never felt more fulfilled in my work. And I think these are the reasons why. We had a course called The Coach Approach to Leading and Developing Your People. And it was a continuation of what I did at Family Reunion. And we still have it. We're offering it for $25, a light version on later in the week. So if anyone wants to go, that's a shameless plug.
Plug away.
MyMapsCoach.com. You go there and look under events and you can register $25. Or, and this is the new model for COVID for us, or if you can't afford it, just respond and we'll send you a code for free. No questions asked. So we had a two-day course scheduled, and we had a bunch of people that signed up for $249, and we made a decision. And when I say we, I mean our leadership team and our coaches leadership council and our head coaches. Together, we made the decision that we're going to reduce it to $49. We're going to refund everyone that signed up $200. And then we offered it for $49 unless you're feeling the hardship, then just respond and we'll let you in for free. And the messages that have come back, Ashley, have just been so inspiring. And I share, by the way, every one of those we share that with our company, but I share them with our kids. And I recommend you guys do that too. Every message that comes in, I feel like those at home if we're making a sacrifice in our business, those at home are a part of that.
Yeah.
And when people step forward and express their gratitude, if we've made their life lighter for a day, I think it's our responsibility to take that message home and deliver it to those that are riding shotgun with us during this period of time.
Yeah. Great point. Great point. So can we shift a gear?
Yeah.
Because you're a married guy, you got a wife, beautiful wife, talented wife, way more talented than you.
So much more talented than me. It is a tribute to my unbelievable sales abilities.
Very true. And a handful of kids.
4 of them.
So we haven't had anybody yet on these particular Zooms that's been able to speak to that experience and how you've kept from hurting each other. I'm assuming you have.
I know,
Linda McKissick shared a couple weeks ago. She did throw a bottle at Jimmy, so there could be some of that.
Well, I'm sure Jimmy had that coming. That's so funny. Those guys are so good. Yeah, there are for some reason, because this has affected so many people and is going to and continues to me, I've had this, and it's probably just my own story, but I've had a little discomfort talking about the opportunities. In fact, let me share this with you because I thought this was so amazing from Gary Keller. He said, and I remembered exactly because I put it in my notes. The other day when Charlotte and I had a call with him and we were talking about all this stuff. And then he said, now, if if we can move to talking about our economic circumstance in isolation, so we don't disrespect anyone that's suffering, we should probably do that. There's our business mentor.
Yeah.
And even in a leadership call, with just three of us, he had this reverential tone for the suffering in the world and the people that are having their struggles, so much that he needed to caveat for us, let's go speak about this. We're going to do it in isolation because we want to make sure that we don't disrespect the challenges. Yeah. I thought was amazing. So for us, I haven't called them opportunities, but we've called it collateral beauty after that movie, which I think is so beautiful. You'll remember in the movie that, in the preview, Will Smith's character, he has a death in his family, and he's in the hospital, and there's a stranger next to him that says, don't forget to see the collateral beauty. The movie, Terry, is collateral beauty. And so I think there's a lot of that. And part of it for us is, and Ashley, I'm just going to be level 10, transparent, vulnerable.
Would expect nothing less.
Well, I know you'd call me out if I wasn't, and I appreciate that. So Teresa and I, for some time, have felt like, we don't sleep in a bed of Benjamins by any means. We're not rolling in it, but we do well as a family, and we felt like we didn't think our kids really understood sacrifice in a way that would bless them later in their lives when it's their turn to sacrifice. And then this happened. And I remember I did a call with Gary, and this was probably 7 weeks ago. It was early in this, and it was just a one-on-one call, and he was saying, go reduce all your expenses. So I went home and told Teresa, this is bigger than it looks, and here's what Gary said, and we need to reduce every expense. And I'm so proud of her because you could tell it was so heavy. It's a little easier now because we're all in it together. Yeah. But in that moment,
it's still heavy.
It is heavy.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between a heaviness when we're all experiencing heavy and when you feel like it's just you. Any of us that have had a business that has struggled under normal circumstances knows the pain of feeling like maybe something's just wrong with us, or how will I make this work? And there is something nice about being collectively kicked down the hierarchy of needs together. It doesn't make it less painful, but it is helpful that others are there with us, don't you think?
It's not as isolating. That we can take the isolation off. Yeah.
Yeah. There's danger in that too, because we could run with the assumption that because we're all in it together, everyone's fine. And that's not true either. We still need to check on everyone. Everyone's having their own experience. But Teresa and I reduced our expenses. We did 18% the first day, and then realized it wasn't enough and came back and did 20% the next night. So 38%. But this is what we did with the kids. We decided right then, we're not going to save them at all from this. Not at all. We're going to walk in and we're going to have a family meeting, and we're going to tell them exactly what's happening. And I remember saying to them, I remember fighting the urge of being a father that wants to make it okay. My kids are 18, 14, 12 as of yesterday, and 7. And we sat them down and said, Mom and I just had a meeting and we cut our expenses, and here's what's going on in the world. And this is going to affect a lot of people, and we're going to have to make sacrifices. And at the time, there was no stay-at-home order or no quarantine, no official quarantine. And we told them we had a trip planned and we're not going to do the trip. And I remember my 18-year-old daughter, and this was amazing because she said, what was that?
That Brian Garrity just asked, 18-year-old, how is that possible? Yeah, because you still look like you're 16.
Yeah.
Besides the
Brian,
facial
you're
hair.
kind. I'm 47 and I don't feel like a day over 60 sometimes. But my 18-year-old said she had this idea to do these family dinners. Let's dress up. We'll dress up. And this has been a heavy time. Like I don't, there have been plenty of times that I would love for everyone here to believe that my mind is so strong that I don't take it home, and it's just not true. It's heavy. And instead of trying to pretend like it isn't, we've done a good job as a family of them sitting me down and saying, we know it's stressful, tell us what's going on, and kind of just bearing the load together. So I share that because every day for the last, today's the 33rd day we've done this. We do these themed dinners. And it's not my idea at all. In fact, I can tell you that better than 50% of the time, I don't want to do it because I'm just wiped. I'm just tired. And the themes are nutty. Trolls and unicorns. I'm like, what are we going to do?
33. I didn't realize you were doing it every single day, but you're going to run out.
Maybe. Every day. And we keep talking about, we've talked several times about, do we adjust this? Do we not keep doing it? But Ashley, here's the thing that I would share with you and anyone here. This is what caught me off guard. This was the blessing I did not see coming from the themed dinners. I'm working during the day like this. I mean, many of us on this call, let's just, think to yourself, is work your drug of choice? Service-based people, we have a tendency to really get into it, right? And nothing brings that to the front like a great crisis. And so we just dive in. And so I would notice, I'd say to my kids, hey, I'm going to be right with you. I got to do 2 more calls, then I'm all yours. And so there's my children, who, by the way, are going through this with us, right? And how scary for little kids. And so they're over there. And then I get done with my calls, and it would go like this. All right, you guys. Oh, man, I need a minute. Dad's got to chill. I got to take a second. I had no concept of what all yours meant. And so having a time every day where we shut it down, we put it on the shelf, and I dismount work, and we go do a silly thing as a family together. We are terrible at family photos. Like, I am certain, I've always thought that I would be the one that wants to sacrifice a kid because my name's Abraham. But I watch my wife, I've seen her head do a full 360 during family photos. And all of a sudden, every night we're taking these photos. And we're posting it. And there was an interesting thing too, Ashley, that happened. Maybe 6 nights in, people started saying, do this theme and that one. And all of a sudden, as a family, there was this little pressure. And we sat down as a family and said, how do we want to handle this? And decided we're just going to do what we want to do. And
you are a family of performers, though.
Yes. And remember what it's about, what it's for.
Yeah.
And because of that, multiple times I've been dressed up with makeup and, hair sticking to lipstick. I'm sorry for anyone that deals with that. And, but that little ritual, and I would say to you, if there's 67 people here, I don't think that was Maddie's idea. And if anyone, if you're looking for something to do with your family, and there's any part of you that feels like we can't do this because we copy Abe, we copied someone else, don't feel that way, take it, do it, post it, name it whatever you want, share with us if you'd like, don't if you don't want to. There's no real rules around it, but having something you do as a family every night has proven to be really important for us. And now, anytime we talk about, man, maybe we don't do it, we have a sense of loss at the thought of not having that time together, because it always leads to a meal and then usually a movie, to which I fall promptly asleep during the movie. Last night we watched, it was my son's, the 12-year-old's birthday. We watched the Simpsons movie because I wanted the world to know I'm not that good of a father. But it was,
awesome.
it was fun. And the other thing too is I think that if you're a parent and you have kids at home, or if you just have kids if you have kids at all, I think now is a time to share what's hard. I think very honest conversations around what's difficult for us have been really helpful.
Yeah.
I sat down with, when I say I sat down, I was sat down by Therese and Maddie towards the end of last week. And I guess, and this isn't a surprise, but I feel like this is something that I would coach another on. And so it doesn't
Not you. You don't need it.
I don't need it. They sat me down. They're like, you've been pretty edgy the last few days. And I can be sometimes a little naturally defensive. Well, I find my moment. And so I've learned to just be kind of quiet and ask some questions while I get out of the amygdala and go to the higher mind. And so I said, yeah, tell me what are you seeing that makes you feel that way? And I'm so clunky at it because I'm mad. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, and we're going to do this. And I'm being a big boy. And my 18-year-old said, Dad, it must be hard. What are you dealing with? What's going on at work? What happened today? What happened yesterday? And it was incredible.
That's
and
awesome.
At first I didn't want to really share, but we had one of our coaches that's going through a really rough time, and that's weighed heavy on me. And I shared that with her. I guess the point I'm making, Ashley, is that to me, another piece of collateral beauty in all of this is when we had to stop our frantic life, and our life was frantic.
4
when
kids?
All of a sudden, what's that?
With 4 kids, of course it was.
With 4 kids. Whoever said stay-at-home mom has never been one. Like Teresa's never home. And, soccer, I'm certain, was the design of Satan to ruin the weekend of every parent that has kids that play soccer. But, we've had our kids have been so active, and we just kind of nestled into this is life with kids. And now that none of those things are an option, what we've realized is that we allowed ourselves to get too taken away. And this time to slow down, I think, has brought to the forefront for us, for our clients, for us as people that have relationships, and for us who are business owners that build our businesses based on relationships. There's collateral beauty here, because months ago we were dealing with billion-dollar companies whose artificial intelligence would comb through the middle of the night social media habits of our clients and could put in front of them what they want in ways you and I could never compete with. And today, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Today, what people want is, hey, normally when I call you, I'd be calling about real estate. I'm not doing that today. I have a goal to help 10 people today. I want to be a solution for one of the challenges you may be experiencing. How can I help you? How are you doing? That's what people
like the
want.
true connection?
True connection.
Wow.
It
took a global shutdown to bring that opportunity to us.
I think you're right. I think we've found our humanity. And even now, a little piece of advice I'd give to anyone is, don't watch the news. Just don't watch it. But my experience with people, even those that have really different political views than I do, is that stuff only matters. It doesn't matter near as much at this point. What matters is, are we getting what we need? Are we able to help each other? By the way, you guys in California seem to have done an incredible job. In fact, I think as a state, you guys have you're probably the benchmark.
Our governor's done a great job. We flattened the curve really well. I'm a little nervous because today they're reopening the beaches, and we drove the coast yesterday. Gail's birthday is today.
Please
so she
tell her
wanted to
happy
drive the
birthday.
coast. And there was you can't get on the sand. However, the line of cars was busier than I've ever seen it. It was like 4th of July. And so with them opening today, I have a feeling it's going to be nuts, and then they'll close them down again.
Yeah.
Or we'll, have a little bit of an outbreak.
So Ashley, 100% that's going to happen.
Yeah.
The objective of the country right now, it's balancing getting people back out and frequently businesses, and when we will shut down again. The question of will we have another shutdown is not a question. It's what will be the cycles.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I believe, at least. And Gary Keller said this, and I thought this was really interesting too. He said, until we have daily testing, that swab-style daily testing, immediate result, which you guys, was it last week? Your governor on the phone with the president, securing swabs.
I thought you didn't watch the news.
I have a few places
I'm kidding.
go. I have a few places I go that are as bipartisan as possible because I'm not interested in why we don't like
this
one another.
fight.
I'm interested in what are
Yeah.
people doing,
Yeah.
right? And the evidence of that humanity I'm talking about is your governor and President Trump. They're not going to the beach together, but they have worked together in ways that previous to this
Would have never happened.
we
Yeah.
weren't seeing, right? And so it's not a time, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a time to be right or wrong. It's a time to do the right thing, right? Discover what is needed. All right. So until we have that daily testing, every day that we don't have that is one more day that we live like
We
this.
extend it. Yeah.
So when we are let out, when that happens, then I think it's important that I think there's a couple things that are really, really important. Have you noticed at all that, and you guys are probably better at this than I am, but has anyone noticed that you find yourselves feeling hostility to someone that's not wearing a mask, or you see some kids there's this sense of,
Or they
don't
get too
know?
close to you, like somebody.
What?
Yeah.
What the devil? You trying to kill me? And I think that as we get let out into the world, I would say, number one, we should all play by whatever rules they have. It's not a conspiracy. It's science, right? I think we have now officially in the U.S. passed number of deaths in the Vietnam War.
Yep.
And when you look at it as a percentage of our total population, it's really small. But you guys, doesn't matter how big it is or how little it is.
Still individuals with families and friends, and it's substantial.
And I've had three people close to me hospitalized, one in intensive care.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful to say that they've been released. But in Utah earlier, last Wednesday, not in Utah, in Ogden, last Wednesday, we had our first fatality at the hospital. So as we get let out, I think that we follow the rules, but I also think that it's going to be important as a citizenry to proactively practice our kindness, because we're programmed a little right now like this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be tough for us to see a person. I can give you an example. Let me give you a personal example. We ordered pizza the other day because we are wanting to still love one another. We ordered Domino's pizza, and the gal shows up, and she's got a mask on. Mine's over there. It's hanging off her ear. She doesn't have it on. No gloves, holding the pizza. Now, I'm sure she didn't open the pizza and like lick it or cough on it or rub her hands on it, but she's holding the pizza. And she's asking for us to sign a receipt. And I'm not proud of this, but there was this moment where I felt like, are you serious? Well, why is she asking that? Because in the app, we put that a 12-year-old is going to sign. That's the last time that we, when we first opened that app, a 12-year-old, which was 2 years ago with my other son. So she's like, the instructions you gave us need you to sign this. And I'm feeling like you stay out there, which is the right move, right? My family's in here. You stay out there. And then I just catch myself. This woman is working. She's brought food to our house. She has needs. How scary must this be for her going to other people's homes? And I just apologized. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This must be horrifying for you. And she's like, it's hard. And then we just moved it to, well, thank you for doing this for us tonight. And I think that's what's going to be needed. Now, can we talk about business for a moment?
Yeah.
Here's something for us all to understand. How we talk to our database today will determine who they listen to in the next 60 to 90 days. I'll say it again. How we talk to them today will determine who they're going to listen to in the next 16 to 90 days. Are there still homes closing in your area?
Yes. We're about 50% off right now.
Yeah. It's the beach effect, Ashley. I think what we're going to see is the beach effect.
Explain.
Well, they just opened the beaches.
Yeah.
Imagine what it's going to, go 1 year back. Is the line of cars bigger today than it was 1 year ago today? pent up demand. And there will be a portion of our population that has financially taken a hit and probably will not move forward with a purchase like they may have previously. There are a lot of people that are at home assessing what do we want our life to be for the next 5 or 6 years. And we're going to go back into quarantine a couple times. Do we want to do that here?
Yeah.
And so this is a time, I believe, this is a time for us to be very, very active. And be active with the right message. That's important.
Yeah.
Sales language is less important than how can I help you? But I think there are some cool, can I share with you a couple ideas?
Of course.
So I think one thing we can do as realtors, and by the way, Ashley, I just want to thank you and Evie and everyone here because I miss my Keller Williams family. This does a lot for me personally to interact here. And before we're done, I'd love to talk about what some things maybe we could do together if that's okay.
Great.
So many years ago, back shortly after Al Gore had invented the interweb, Teresa and I had this idea. I was a realtor and I wanted to differentiate. And I started this little series called What's in Your Town. And if you go to that Facebook page, you will see that it has not been updated maybe a decade. It's really old. But what I learned was I went around and I made these very simple, short little videos highlighting a local business. Here's the principle. Today, if you tell your story as an agent, I'm Abe, I sell homes, I'd like to help you sell your home, no one hears you. But if I tell her story, I want to introduce you to Kim Bouchard. She's the owner and operator of Roosters, one of my favorite restaurants. And Kim, how have you been affected by this? What have you seen inside your company that has made you proud of the people that work there? What are you doing to help service the community? When I tell Kim's story, you will see Kim and me.
Yep.
I'm the connection. And that's servant service anyway, right? When I highlight another person, and there's some, if you choose to do this, and I think all of us should, and this can be done via Zoom, that's fine. There's a lot of grace in the world for how we receive information. But if you choose to do this, there's some fun things you can add to it. One thing we did was whoever we highlighted, we had them donate some kind of a prize. Doesn't need to be big. Yeah. And then we did a little hidden photo contest. And we just took a picture somewhere in our city, and you could do a million variations of this. But after, we would do this quick little interview. And if you want, Ashley, I'll send you one that's just a sample that you can share if you'd like. That'd
be great.
Again, it's old, but it would give you some format, a little bit of format, and you could steal that idea. But right now is the time to
go back to the hidden photo really quick.
The hidden photo contest. I would say it at the end of each video. All right, now for the hidden photo contest. It could be trivia. It could be whatever. Kim has donated a liter of homemade root beer that we will have delivered to your home. And so-and-so guest, and you have them do it in the comments, right? And because when they're commenting, that shows up in others see in their notifications that Ashley commented on Abe's thread.
Yeah.
And so it extends your social media reach. And then this week, so-and-so's the winner, and you flash a picture of them, and we're going to deliver this to your home. And this week, here's the photo, and you flash it up, or here's the trivia. And then you let him go crazy in the comments. And it's those kind of little things right now that are important. If before we called our database once a quarter, today we should call them, if every week is not possible for you, then every other week.
Yeah.
And can I give you one more script to use?
Please.
So the one script is, hey, Ashley, usually when I call, I'm calling to talk to you about real estate. And that's important to me. That's what I do for my living. And I want to make sure that I'm doing such great work that anyone who has a real estate need that knows you would want to do business with me because they trust you. That's important, but that's not why I'm calling today. Today I'm calling because I've set a goal to be a solution for 5 people that are having challenges today. And I wanted to call and ask you, what's a challenge for you and your family that I could help you with? And when they are reflexive and they say, oh, thank you, that's kind, we're doing great, we don't need anything, silence. Just like this, just shut the cake hole. Don't talk.
Because everybody needs something, and enough silence will do the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah. And you want them to process that Ashley's really asking me this. And then you can give some prompts if you, in the spirit of a great Diana Kokoska script, you could say, do you need toilet paper? Are you guys okay on grocery? You could offer some things. Now, we're connectors. So when somebody says, we've got a plumbing challenge, could we not go and find a plumber and bring them together? You know, the plumbers that we use, I'm sure, are struggling somewhat right now. We're great connectors. And then here's if there's truly not something for them to do, here's a little addition. Well, Ashley, no one's more important to me than the people who are important to you. So I would like to know whom among your family and friends and those important to you could I call and offer to be a solution for them so that you and I together could be a blessing in their life today.
That's awesome.
And it's database building. You're adding to the database. And if your mission in this business is to be a blessing to those you serve, to provide the highest level of service, then I believe you have a responsibility to grow that database and extend that service. So if it feels salesy for a minute, get over that. Call and serve. And if you ever struggled with scripts like the FSBO script, if that's hard, you know, if you're a person that's just struggled, by the way, I always struggled with that. Tony DeSello was my coach, so I did it. I hated it. And, but I did it, right? Because we have to do the discomfort. We have to wade through the discomfort to get, you know, to the service part. However, if you're like me and those times are, you know, that's a struggle, well, good news for you. They don't want that dialogue today.
Yep.
Today they want, you know, they want human
authenticity and connection.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then when you serve, when you have that opportunity to serve, because you're going to have people that will say, my sister has 6 kids and they're going crazy trying to homeschool and she can't get to the store. And when you say, I'm going to call and get a grocery list, and do you want to help participate in that? And you organize a grocery drop-off, you don't think they're going to tell your story?
Oh, yeah.
And they should, by the way, because that's genuine kindness and service.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
What's going to happen?
Whenever we're giving, we get more back. I mean, it.
And the days this is hard, the days, Ashley, that you're feeling like, gosh, this is really weighing on me, because we're not just living our business, right? We're managing at home. The days that are hard, we can go to these kind of service-based calls selfishly, truthfully, because at any given moment, we are one service-based conversation away from feeling different.
Absolutely.
There's always someone to serve. It's the collateral beauty of our moment.
So when you do have those moments, I had mentioned earlier, you build stuff. Besides getting called on the carpet by your wife and your daughter, how are you getting that darkness out of you?
Well, that's the right question. So I am, both Teresa and I have elderly parents that we care greatly about. Both of our parents have now been married over 52 years on both sides. So rare, right?
Wow.
And I have a high school senior. Those on this call that have a senior in high school, the temptation is to say, well, at least you're not dying, and to provide this perspective, which I feel is disrespectful to each person's personal circumstance. It's okay for these seniors to mourn that they didn't get to have their prom or senior night or those things that we got to do. Some of us, that would have been the greatest thing in the world. But for her, she loves her friends and she has a senior. It's been tough. And so we've kept the rules. And I have struggled some. I have struggled when I drive by Lowe's and it's full. And that's really judgy because for all I know, those are contractors that are keeping their business going. But I'm a builder and I want to go get supplies and I want to make stuff and I'm not. I've cut up a lot of our existing furniture to make things. In fact, you want to see one piece?
Yeah. Then I want to know, do you ask Teresa permission before you start cutting?
I do.
That's smart.
I made this.
That's
And,
beautiful.
yeah, this is just a little table and I welded the base. And I'm terrible at welding, by the way, but I'm interested. And so YouTube, if you're interested in something, you can do it. And they say something in welding that's really true. A grinder in paint makes you the welder you ain't. But here's what I want to show you. These pieces of mahogany or these pieces of maple were the crib that each one of my children had as children, as babies.
Oh, wow.
And when I told Teresa, I'm taking that to the shop, which to her means you'll never see it like that again. She was like, well, just build something we get to enjoy. And so when you say, how do I get the darkness? How do I get the darkness out? I think the part of it is, I think all of us have to choose to extend grace to others. And it's not easy when you drive by a place that you could really, really use stuff in there and you choose not to go. Now, I'm not saying if you've gone to Lowe's that you're not for heaven. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I'm just sharing my personal struggle. And so the way I've dealt is I go in the shop. The way I've dealt, here's something that's really interesting. I think difficult times reveal the strength of your habits or the weaknesses.
Yeah.
After this call, I have a 30-minute break, and then I'm doing an hour-long session with our coaches on morning habits. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell them that up until recently, I would have been a full hypocrite teaching you this. Principles true. I just wasn't doing them. And so I think that part of the way that I deal is we actually have to do the things. I have a 411. It's right here on my desk. I have a plan for 3 workouts a week. I have a plan for when I'm going to get off of work. And part of what allows me to do that is I have a system of how I close my day by setting up the next morning.
Yeah.
And I have a coach that I've asked to help me with that. And so I find that for me, it's easy to start feeling the enormity of it all when I'm not doing those things.
Yeah.
Right? Those things they're always the right things to do, to wake up on purpose, to wake up and work on your mental and emotional, read something for your spirit, read something professionally, work out in the morning.
And yet when we're busy and we're reactive, it's easy to lose sight of that, right?
Yeah.
And when now we have all this time for stillness, if we're in disalignment with that, it becomes very apparent. And the human can't live with knowledge of that disalignment to value.
I agree.
Or knowing what we should be doing.
So here's one of the most incredible things about this. I mean, when the story's written of COVID season, we're going to have unbelievable lessons and parallels to share. So think about this. Think about a person, Ashley, that's busy. They got a booming business. The world's going fine. They got a family. They have a team. Think about that person who says, I know I need to work out. I'm going to get to that. Or I know I need to manage my finances better. I'm going to get to that. And it's very easy during those times to do that. And now we find ourselves where we don't have all of that, right? We are now into the day in, day out challenge of living this life that we're into right now. And one of the things that I think is amazing is pick any one of the habits that you want to develop. Just pick one. I mean, today's not the day to say, all right, from here forward, I'm going to eat keto, perfect every meal. I'm going to wake up at this time. None of us build habits like that. We layer habits. And so find the one that you want to improve on and make a very simple plan. And today we are so cognitively aware of each day. Have you noticed? Each day.
Yeah.
And if I work out today and I'm going to do it tomorrow and then I'm going to take a break and then I'm going to do it the next day, if I do that, I can go and check those boxes and I have this very real sense that I am developing that habit.
Yeah.
You know, and so
what's fun too, I mean, we're at the end of this being here more than 66 days. So whatever habits we decide to develop now should last past the end of this.
Yeah. It's like market share, isn't it?
Same difference.
What you build, you keep.
So if your habit is Netflix 10 hours a day, it's going to be hard to go back to work.
Yeah.
Make the right choices.
You know, I said to our company and to Teresa, we're going to discover who we really are and who we really want to be in this.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I'm proud of us. I'm proud of I'm proud of MAPS Business Coaching. I'm proud of Keller Williams. And I'm proud of us as a family because I feel like we've leaned in to one another. And there have been plenty of challenging times. In our family, we have a little thing called the do-over culture. Can I tell you about this?
That'd be great.
So we realized.
Let me just also say, if anybody has questions they want to ask Abe, put them in the chat box. We are looking at it. All right, do-over culture.
I have a good friend, and I think you know Matt. You know Matt Townsend?
I do when I tried to get him on one of these. Hook me up, man.
Oh, you got to call his wife. I'll set you up.
All right.
Yeah.
Of course. How did I not know that?
Like, yeah. So, yeah, I can get you set up. He'd be so good. And so, Matt, I don't remember if he said this exactly or if I just adapted something that he said to us one time, but I had this realization that there are times where I'll find myself defending a point that I don't actually care about. I'm just needing to be right or worse, not be wrong. And so Teresa and I had this conversation around, let's make a way that we can start again, which can be a little touchy if you're having a disagreement with someone to say, hold on, can we just start over? If that's been an intense exchange and one person's like, hey, can we just start over? It can feel to the other like, seriously, you just said all of that. Now we're just going to blow it out the window and start again. And so
choose your timing.
We decided, and we sat down with the kids and we said, we're going to ask for a do-over. When you find that you're defending something and that the relationship is more important to you than being right in that thing, which is most of the time, then you can say, I want to apologize. This isn't what I wanted to say or how I wanted to say it. May I have a do-over? And we use the Covey definition of integrity, carrying out a decision once the emotion you felt making the decision is passed. So to ask for the do-over takes a lot of integrity because usually you're a little worked up. But it also takes integrity to allow the do-over. Yeah. It takes integrity of the part of the person that right. You're asking for.
Yeah.
For them to not hold you hostage by the emotion you created in them when you said or did the thing, you're now asking them, can you do it over? And in the early days, the kids like fashioned that into a club they'd beat me with. Dad needs a do-over, which was really helpful. But now, in this time, if we're tense with each other, I think every one of us, including the 7-year-old, at some point has said, I'm sorry, guys, can I have a do-over?
That's awesome.
And we've just go ahead. And we've allowed ourselves to like erase the track and go back to that point and then start again and move forward. And, anyway.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So what is this is not from me, this is from Kelly. What's the most important lesson that you've learned so far in life? You know, nothing light on this Zoom.
You know, that feels big, and actually, it's. I think it's simple. This falls under the category of simple, not easy, and that is that everything in life worth it requires some planning and then execution. Some planning and then execution. And when you say what's the most important lesson that I've learned, you know, I kind of come from a couple different angles on that. I'd say professionally, it's that when I feel like my world's kind of spinning out of control, normally what I need to do is stop, close the door, shut off the phone, and reconnect with my plan. Like go back to my 411 and what was I going to be working on that I allowed, you know, myself to get taken away from, and then just start doing the next thing. I would say in the broader scope in life in general, I think that the most valuable lesson I've learned is that I cannot conceive of a circumstance that you and I wouldn't need one another. And that the way we work with each other is really important. And a spiritual leader that I follow in a very, very difficult time in his life, just a brutally awful time in his life, made this observation in his journal. He said that human emotions cannot comprehend the joy that comes to the soul when in the depths of despair can be heard the voice of a friend. And I think that it's never been more clear to me how important human connection is and how important it is to need one another. And I know all the psychology around the word need, and I'm going to use it here because I feel it's appropriate. We need one another, and how we show up for each other matters. And
100%.
Yeah. So Matthew asked, how is expressing your vulnerability really perceived as a strength and not a weakness? Well, that's vulnerability, I think, is the new superpower. Thank you, Brene Brown.
Yeah.
And I think that, I believe that, Matthew, when we stop and say, you know what, I'm sorry, and I'm actually nervous because I don't know how to do this, or I don't feel like I've done this right. What happens is we feel like we're going to be at a disadvantage, but what really happens is we make it okay for others to also be on a journey. And a quick example, I know we're in the last minute. Take two people that are really in a bad argument. And then one of them finally says, you know what, Ashley, this is my fault. I shouldn't have done, I'm sorry. What instantly does the other do almost always?
Backs off. Oh,
yeah,
it's okay.
It's not
it's
just
all right.
your fault.
Yeah.
It's my fault too. Minutes ago, we wanted them hung in the public square.
Yep.
But this fast, we're like, no, it's not you. It's me. So I think the ability to acknowledge where we're good and where we need help is healthy.
Yeah. Yep. So there was one, how do you break a bad habit?
Well, I think that first of all, you acknowledge it's a bad habit and you enlist help. You don't silently acknowledge, you enlist help, and then you define what would be the good version of that, right? So if eating sugar, very, very seldom do I see people that succeed when they just say, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore. Those I see that succeed in a diet like that are those that say, I'm not going to eat sugar anymore. Instead, this is the kind of food that I'm going to eat.
Yeah. There's always a duality with it. You've got to replace a bad habit with a good one.
It's like people say, well, how do you say no and stick to it? You know what you're saying yes to.
Yeah.
You be clear on what you're saying yes to. And when you're clear on that, now defending that yes with appropriate no's becomes easier.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I think that's probably the lesson we're all getting from this shutdown or shut in or stay at home time is we're not really intended to be alone or do anything alone. We do need each other.
Yeah.
So last question for you. What can we do for you, Mr. Abe?
Well, you guys, I have a group of amazing coaches, and coaches live to serve and coach. And we're a company with heart. And right now, this is a group of people that have connections with business owners that are really struggling. And I would say that the thing you could do that would be, the very best for us is put us in touch with those people that are in the business community. We are tiptoeing in. A core philosophy of ours is you don't sell coaching, you demonstrate it. And we're doing a lot of things. So you don't need to worry about us descending on your business owner with all of our sales abilities. That's not what this is. And there have been plenty of people that now's not the time. We've helped them do an analysis of their business and get a plan together, and we'll keep in touch. And so I'd say if you go to our website, mymapscoach.com, there's a place to put a referral. Put all your information because we want to connect with you. And we do have a great monthly referral program. I would say the thing you can do best for us is when you see us teaching a class, help us promote it, help us get it to the people that it would be a blessing to. And when you look around at those in your world that maybe a conversation with a coach would be beneficial, you can know that we're stepping in with extreme sensitivity, and we just want to be as much of assistance as we can.
Awesome. All right. Love you, man. Hope to see you in flesh sooner than later.
That would be freaking awesome. And in the absence of that, I'll take this.
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Tell the family hi.
I will. Thanks,
Ashley. Everyone. Make it a great week.